Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of Woodley Town Council being held on the 5th of December 2023. Before I start, it's just come to my notice tonight that our good friend Councillor David Bragg has just lost his father. His father passed away yesterday. And all of you who know David will know he's been devoted to the care of his father for quite some time. And I'm sure you'll all join in sending on his condolences to David. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Town Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish for your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so if you do hear the fire alarm, please head out to the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre in front of Woodford Park. Before we start the meeting tonight, as at the last Strategy and Resources meeting held on the 21st of November 2023, 5 organisations were awarded community grants of £350. These were Chemo Gift Bags, Woodley Adopt a Street, Woodley Schools Cluster, Woodley United Football Club and Woodley Volunteer Centre. At the same meeting, 2 organisations were awarded youth grants of £2,500. These were Berkshire Renegades and Me Too Club. Some representatives from these organisations are here tonight, and I'd like to give each the opportunity to stand and briefly explain to the council what their grant will be put towards. So we have Sheila Flower from Woodley Adopt a Street. Thank you. Yes, or if you would like, would you like the microphone? just shout.
Thank you, Janet. Well, thank you very much indeed, Madam and Councillors, for awarding this enormous amount of money. Thank you so much. We'll do so much with it. Woodley Adopt a Street has about 250 volunteers from literally around Woodley, mainly in their streets and sort of local areas. We'll use the money to carry on giving equipment to our new volunteers. We literally at the extravaganza at the weekend and got 6 new volunteers from that. And so we're really delighted and it'll go to great use. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
We have Penny O'Connor. Sorry, Jenny.
Sheila wasn't on the screen at all.
So oh dear.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure you don't want to do it again.
You have to say all over again.
Well, perhaps the next 2, it's Penny O'Connor and Kiwi. Would you like to come up here and spotted, Jenny?
That is just a nickname.
Oh, there you are. I can see you there.
There we are. Thank you.
No worries. Good evening, councillors. Obviously, all the other attendees. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much for the grant. In respect of sports, we're a fairly new team for youth, but we have got our youngest player is 7. So we aim to push out the social side of it, obviously the exercise side of it. We are based at Woodford Leisure Centre primarily, so we are trying to keep everything as local as we can. We are the Berkshire Renegades, so we get people from Newbury, through to Slough, and even further afield. So we're all bringing them in to Reading, which is really good. I mean, I've lived here ever since I came over. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, so
Not New Zealand.
so we're trying to give back to the community as well. We are part of what we're going to use the money for is also trying to get the sport into the schools, the local schools. It's becoming a massive thing in England or the UK. It's growing every year, and we'd just like to push that as well. So the grant's going to be massive for us. Obviously, it's also going to give us a kit that the kids. It's not the cheapest of sports, I admit, but it will help us give the kids the stuff that they require. Obviously, also for safety, we do non-contact and contact. So we've got 5.
We've got five
youth programs.
And they've been incorporated with it since we took up members. We were really on board in 2019. The big thing at the moment is flag football has been included in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. So the flag players that we've got in our team could well be Olympians in 2028. We've had 2 players already selected for Team GB. So we're really fortunate. We're one of the smallest clubs in the UK compared to some of the bigger ones, but our motto is we've got to have fun. Just have fun, enjoy it. They're learning core skills again today as well. They're learning about communication and teamwork and everything without even realising it. And so that's really rewarding. So thank you so much for considering us in the first place. It's going to go a long way. If ever you're around on Saturdays, come along to Woodford Park, see the kids, having fun. It's really good. I love it. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Colin Moon from Woodley United Football Club?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Callum. I'm the club chair, and I've got Bill with me as well, who's our president. First of all, many thanks to all of you for supporting us again. It's very much appreciated, and I think, as you know, for our club, I mean, any funding that we can get in is hugely appreciated and very useful for us. We have over 100 volunteers now, around 45 plus teams, all the way from a veterans team, women's team, a couple of men's teams, and then all the way through to new kickers that are sort of 5 or 6 years old. Most of our junior age groups now are covered with girls only teams as well, which you've had a big part in supporting us with that in recent years. So I just want to get that reference in there again. The grant this year is specifically, given the amount of coaches that we've got, they make up the lion's share of our 100 plus volunteers. It's about training the coaches. So our coaches, managers, assistant managers, we've already put on 2 sessions since September that have been very well attended, very well received. So anything that, and we'll continue that in after Christmas, that we're going to put on more of those sessions, because it's so important to make sure that our volunteers are trained at an appropriate level, so that the children are well looked after, they're safely looked after, and they get even more fun and fulfilment from what we're offering them. A couple of the headlines of what we've been doing recently. You may have seen, if any of you do follow us on Twitter and other social media, so again, a very good input. So we had the women for the first time, women's team for the first time ever. They got to the first round of the FA Cup, and we were fortunate to play that at home over at the Bournemouth Pavilion. We had over 400 there. We chose not to. We knew it was going to be a big event. We chose not to charge any supporters, but we did encourage. One of the players has, for the last 4 home games, has been collecting for the food bank, and the donations just from that one single match, that one single afternoon, it took more than 3 cars for all the donations that came in from all the schools that attended. And more recently, again, we supported the toy appeal for Christmas, and huge great box, and then lots of people coming in. necessarily interested in football. They saw what we're doing and they came along and they donated sweets and gifts for the children for Christmas. So that was great to see. I think we covered everything. Yeah, thanks again, and yeah, really appreciate your support.
Thank you to every one of you for taking the time to come to the meeting tonight. That's heartwarming to hear your words. We'd like to congratulate you all for being awarded your grants and wish you all the best with your projects. We'll now have a short adjournment of the meeting whilst we take some photos of the winners. This will hopefully only take about 5 minutes.
If everyone wants to come down the front, please, one of the winners will do just against the
What's the problem? Indeed.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
We should be able to. Thank you so much, everybody. It's a bit. Will be the door.
Prior to meetings of full council, we hold the town forum, which is an opportunity for members of the public to pose any questions they may have to the council. This is limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. We received notification in advance that a resident, Mr. Peter Wheat, wished to ask a question as part of the town forum, and I believe Peter is attending the meeting virtually to do so. Good evening, Peter. Please ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is the audio okay?
We can hear you, yes.
Thank you. So I'd like to publicly raise my objection to the council's proposed ban on fires at the allotment site. My reason for objecting is as follows. Firstly, I feel very strongly that the council has not properly consulted on this issue, and that there's been no attempt to find any kind of middle way. Secondly, I feel the council has not spent sufficient time thinking about their proposal and design solution, specifically an outright ban. Thirdly, the council's proposal will inconvenience a lot of people. And fourthly, the council's proposal, i.e. trips to the tip, is not in alignment with its climate change objectives. I would like to suggest that the council give serious consideration to providing a designated communal biochar cone pit on site, away from residential buildings. Cone pits create a vortex and produce almost no smoke. They also store carbon in the ground for thousands of years. A study by the International Biochar Initiative found that the carbon footprint of cone pit biochar production ranged from 0.02 to 0.21 kilograms carbon dioxide equivalent per kilogram of biochar produced. This is significantly lower than the carbon footprint of conventional methods of waste disposal, such as incineration or landfill. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for your question. Can I ask Councillor Darren Smith, who's Chair of the Leisure Services Committee, to reply? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Mr. Wheat, thank you very much for your letter and your contribution to this change in the council's tenancy agreement for allotment holders. I'd just like to say that whilst we've included it in the lease agreement, we are allowing a 12-month notice period in which to consider comments from yourself, but also from other allotment holders that may be impacted by this decision. The idea is to solicit as many comments and input as possible so that we can gauge a broad view of what other tenants and allotment holders would like to do. It provides, I think, an adequate amount of time to do that. And then this committee, along with the input of our new Robert Hoskins, Councillor Robert Hoskins, is input into that group to come up with a number of suggestions and possible changes should we wish to consider them. So I think we've got, that doesn't come into force until January 2025. So I think we've got more than adequate time to consider that. But I will say that, you know, it's part of our climate action emergency plan to reduce emissions as much as we can for the services that we provide for the people of Woodley, and so, you know, we'll look at this seriously along with any other options that come up during those discussions. So it's not a done deal just yet, but I will say it's a serious consideration, and we welcome comments from other allotment holders as well. So that's all.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Wheat, are you happy with the reply? Do you wish to make any further comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm concerned that there's a lot of materials already on site that will need to be disposed of, and I'm just, you know, not sure what kind of problems that might cause going forward. There has been some fly tipping on site, and I'm concerned that that we might see a great deal more if you know, if an outright ban were imposed. And I just wanted to highlight that as a possible concern for the council. Thank you.
Do you wish to?
Hello, Peter. It's Darren Smith, Leisure Services again. I'm very happy to look into the current situation. It'll be one of the things that I'll be looking to find out exactly what the current situation is, and if whatever we decide to do, there can be any improvements made. So please, you know, if you've got those further concerns, do let us have those, and we can include them with other tenants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darren. And thank you very much, Mr. Wheat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Madam Chairman, am I not allowed to ask a question or make a comment?
To Mr. Wheat. He's gone.
Is it?
No, you're still in.
Yes, that's fine.
Are you still there, Mr. Wheat?
Yes, I am.
Councillor Jewell has got a comment.
Yes, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Wheat, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi to your emails, so there's some comments you can take from that. I'm an allotment holder, so I do know what goes on up there, and the issues that one has with stuff that you'd got to get rid of to do something with. And I take the point that Darren has said about we've got plenty of time to ask comments. But I think we should use that time to look at some sort of compromise, because things are changing all the time in terms of what you can do with a non-burning solution. I had a quick look at the system that Peter, you've mentioned, and in fact it's quite similar to the old charcoal burners idea that you set the fire going, put some earth on top, let it just simmer, as it were, and you've got that residue at the end. So I would ask Darren, through the chair, that we actually, while we're looking at what the allotment holders are going to say, that we look at the other options, because they are out there. Thank you.
It's my intention to look at all options, including the one that's been proposed.
Jean?
I just wanted to ask how we're going to sort of channel the communication with people using the allotments, because we're saying we're going to consult. I mean, Mr. Wheat has taken it upon himself. I mean, he's been interested enough to raise this, but there is a commitment in our climate plan that we'll be taking the community along with us. So I don't know what the mechanism is for making sure that we contacted everybody who uses the allotment, and also other people in Woodley who may have an interest in the green bit of it, who will have a view. So do we know the answer?
You can answer that.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. Just to say, that has started initially with the rent letters that have gone out, which contain some information in terms about the changes and invites comments in the first instance on those. What we are looking to do as well, with the help of the tenants committee, which Mr. Wood is a member and hopefully can help us with that as well, is they've got a very good means of contacting and communicating with other tenants. And we've got some other mechanisms, so we can use the tenants committee to help us. We've got notices we can put on site, and that's the plan for this year, so we can engage with as many as possible.
Councillor Gilder.
I was really surprised that we haven't consulted at all. We made the decision without consultation, and we're now asking for consultation, are we? It seems to be a little bit round the wrong way. I would have thought it would be better to consult first and then bring in the.
Yeah, it was a recommendation from the Task and Finish group, and they had some discussions, I understand, with a lot of industry. They have been accepted, but I don't know any more than that. So it was recommended that it was included in the needs, but that the.
Good evening. Last full Wokingham Borough Council meeting, 16th of November, the leader of Woodley Town Council applied that he was an old fart. Is that how you talk to young people?
Thank you, Mr. Millard. Well, put it in context, because you haven't actually explained the context here. It was following a presentation from the Youth Parliament, not the Youth Council, and they were really fantastic. And at the time, I invited them as Strategy Resources, to attend Strategy Resources, be on the Youth Committee, etc., etc. Now, as far as calling myself an old fart, I actually talked to them extensively immediately after their presentation, and they didn't take any umbrage of me calling myself an old fart. I've since been in communication with them, trying to follow up about getting them involved in the town council matters regarding youth, and again, they were perfectly happy. Old fart is quite a regular colloquialism. I'm called that by a lot of youth, and the reality is, I am an old fart, So they don't take umbrage of that. I don't take umbrage, and I'm sorry that you take
You're
umbrage.
a leader of the town council, right? I've been to many a meeting where you said, come along, young children, young people, not children, young people. I've never seen them. And then the opportunity, they're there. I'm an old fire. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Can I just comment?
Yes.
I suspect that was said in humour to try and make it a more personable engagement between you and the young people. So you were trying to lighten the mood.
And
I
it
don't think
worked.
it was meant, yes. I don't think it was meant in any other way.
Look at me.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from any members of the public? Oh, let's say, sorry, I missed you putting your hand up, Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Chair. I need your permission to present a motion in accordance with the Standing Order 362 subsection F, representing Sikh community of Woodley. I would like to request to all councillors to support my motion. It's just 2-3 minutes only. Actually, I want to speak regarding the Sikh community celebrating 554 Guru Nanak Sahib Prakash Purab, 554th birthday throughout the globe. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the founder of Sikhism. I would like to share this one, and it is important to recall his teachings of love, peace, equality, and brotherhood. In period of tension and clashes, there was a message of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji for peace, coexistence, and mutual trust requires special urgency and attention. I request this full council meeting to support positive teaching of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and join Sikh community in religious and cultural activities and celebrating. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. As you probably know, we are still in the part of the meeting where we are asking for questions from members of the public. So if you would allow me to finish that part, and then we can move on with the meeting after that, and then we can discuss it.
From my side, that's it.
Okay, but you're speaking as a councillor, not a member of the public. And as I've just been reminded, you do know that any motion that you propose has to be sent in writing to the town clerk before, and then would it be included in tonight's meeting?
No, it needs to be received 12 days before full council meeting to then be included in agenda for consideration. So if you can submit that to Kevin in writing at a point in January, I think the next full council is the 11th of February, so you have until the end of January.
Yeah.
Submit it, we will include it, and then it will be considered by Councillor George.
That's nice. Thank you so much, especially because today why I request, because I try to get today because it's a full council meeting. So
Yes, I understand that.
Thank you so much.
So if you do it in that way, then we can then.
I'll send you the details through.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank
Councillor
you.
Singh. Thank you. So we've got no more questions from members of the public anyway, so we'll now commence with the agenda. So to kick off the meeting tonight, we're joined by Tal Chamboku from Wokingham Borough Council's Antisocial Behaviour Team. Following the increased number of incidents of antisocial behaviour we saw during the summer holidays, particularly in Woodford Park, Tal and Georgia only Tal's here, isn't he? Tal is here to provide us with some information on what they and their team do at Wokingham and to discuss with us our concerns. So I know this is an important topic for all of us, so I'll allow a maximum of 30 minutes for discussions, at which point then we will have to move on with the business of the agenda. So I'll now hand over to Tal. Would you like to come up to here and maybe use the microphone or see how it goes? Yes.
you carry on.
Good evening. My name is Tao Changogo. I work for the anti-social behavior team for Walking Umbrella, and I happen to cover Woodley. So it's divided in 3 parts. The whole bar is divided in 3 parts, and I cover Woodley and some other parts. So today, tonight, I'll tell you about what we do, how we are made up of, the members of our team, and give you an opportunity to ask some questions. So in our team, we are headed by the head of service, Narinda Bra, service manager is Gina Frost, if some of you know that. And then we have senior ASB officers, that's Chris Long, James Phillips, and Jerry Carbon, who's just joined us, and myself. Chris is an ex-police officer, Tao Chambogo, myself, ex-police officer as well. James is counsel PPP, well-experienced also in environmental enforcement, and also Jerry from the investigations, criminal investigations. So we also have, after us, we've got ASB officers. We're supposed to have 2 in each area, but because of staff shortages, we only have 1 each. There's Natasha, Faith Donachi, Annie Roberts, Louise Spurs, who works with me, and Georgia Samson. We also have an animal warden, Caroline Parker. She anything to do with animals. So I'm going to be reading to you here. Maybe you have a better understanding. The Enforcement and Safety Service is part of the Environmental and Safety Department within the Place and Growth Directorate. It delivers a mixture of statutory and local priority services across the disciplines of environmental health, environmental protection, private sector housing, licensing, and antisocial behavior, which we call ASB. Training standards is also provided externally under contract. So overall service purpose to improve public health, the environment, community standards, and business prosperity through the investigation of complaints, carrying out inspections, giving advice, licensing, and enforcement of failure to meet the required standards. Priorities for the service is efficient, effective, consistent resolution of ASB, environmental regulations, and casework. So what we will deliver as a team is we do some investigations of fly tipping, noise complaints, public nuisance, bonfires, burning, Section 4 duty of care. That is when you have your waste and you give it to somebody else. You kind of be responsible for your waste from your house until it's disposed of correctly. Fly posting, that is all the posters you see on the road, legal addresses. Graffiti, abandoned vehicles, and stray animals. So we do Section 34 duty of care visit to business. So we go around to businesses asking if they've got bins, if they've got a contract, and how they dispose of their waste. If they don't, then we give them fines for it, because obviously their waste will end up somewhere, and we don't want it to end up as fly tip. Section 4, duty of care to landlords and residents. We also do trade waste, vehicle stops. So we do an operation with the police once in a while, where we stop vans and trucks carrying waste and ask them if they have the waste transfer or not, and where they're taking their waste to. If they don't, then they get a fine from us. We've got CCTV, where we install CCTV in areas where we have fly tip. That is areas where we've had repeated fly tip offenses happening in the area. We do put CCTV. Unfortunately, it's limited, so we can't put CCTV everywhere. So we try to prioritize looking at the numbers, how many numbers of fly tip reported in that particular area. We do signage also to educate people about our services. We also have interdepartmental working and accurate reporting. Multi-agents, I've already explained that we work with the police, and when we go around, we meet vulnerable people. we work with our social services, we feed in to tell them of the people that we have seen around. So many people would ask what an ASB is. Antisocial behavior is generally described as nuisance behavior that is persistent and causes harassment, alarm, or distress.
Call 3123 new notification volume.
This can cover a wide range of unacceptable activities, including loud television and music, persistent unnecessary and excessive noise, persistent alarms, fly tipping and littering, vandalism, abandoned vehicles, dog persistently barking, frequent loud parties, nuisance vehicles, example, car meets, which is giving us a lot of problems in this time, car repairs and sales, pests causing public nuisance, burning of waste, either trade or domestic, breaches of waste management by commercial premises, fly posting and unacceptable advertising, which I've already explained. What isn't antisocial behavior? Because sometimes people get confused what is antisocial and what isn't. The following activities wouldn't ordinarily be considered as antisocial behavior. Children playing in the street or communal areas. People gathering socially unless they are being intimidated. Being unable to park outside your own home. Parking in unrestricted areas. Disputes between neighbors, e.g. sharing driveways. Normal living noises such as opening and closing of doors, flushing of toilets. Personal lifestyle differences. Do-it-yourself DIY noise that is taking place at reasonable times. Gardening or mowing. So these are all the things that we have received as complaints, and we thought maybe we should tell people that these are not classified as antisocial behavior. So we advertise our services. We do the social media. We've got Georgia Samson who runs our social media platform. We also own the Wokingham Borough Council website. We also do newsletters. We also do campaigns on Keep Britain Tidy, and we are members of that. We have internal and external colleagues who do communications for us as well, and we try to do community work. We've been to Woodley, I think, twice in the borough. So we try to pursue the 3 E's, which is educate, engage, and then enforce. So what basically we are saying is when we see something happening, we try to go and engage, to educate the person first. And if it continues, we engage with them. If it continues, then we enforce by fixed penalty notices or maybe sending them to court. So educate, attend schools and colleges, arrange campaigns with Keep Britain Tidy, community events, meetings with councils, leaflets, communications and on the radio and other platforms, multi-agents working. We work closely with the police. Enforcement, we issue fixed penalty notices, community protection notices. I don't know if you are aware of them. A community protection notice is if there's something happening in the community which is detriment to the community. We try to tell the person that this is not acceptable. And if the whole community is not happy with it, we issue them with community protection notices. And if they don't improve, we issue them fixed penalty notices. If that is not paid, we try to send them court. I have got a case right now which is in Woodley, which I can't mention because it's going to court now. But I'm sure most of you must have seen it on Facebook and petitions. It's something on Headley Road. Statutory noises. We also issue abatement notices and for bonfires, and we got the public space protection orders, which we have now. We are working on the car meets, which are happening in. So this is what we do. So if there's any questions that you want to ask me, or I'll try to answer. If I don't have answers, I'll take them back. Thank you.
We'll start at the end of the room. So, Mr. Jones.
Just one question. You mentioned noise, and how do you control that when someone complains? And what sort of decibel is sort of annoying? Do you give equipment to measure that, or how's it work?
What we do is we don't come around and measure the noise. If someone complains of noise, the first question we ask them is, have you talked to your neighbor? Have you asked them to turn it down? Because that would be the natural thing. If they say yes, they have, but nothing is improved, then we ask them to complete a diary. We ask them if they want us to investigate it. And if they say yes, we give them a diary, because sometimes we don't know the time it's happening. We want to study from the diary when it's happening, and then we have our officer who comes around into their property where the noise is being heard from, and they listen from there. So if our officer hears the noise and they think it's noise, we don't need to measure it. That's enough for us to issue a fixed period notice or to issue community protection notices. But in many times we have gone round, people have told us that they didn't realize it was making noise for others, and they stopped the noise. And when we give the neighbor the diary to complete it, we tell this other person that somebody is monitoring and recording evidence. We don't tell them who, we just tell them that your television or music is being monitored, but we don't tell them who was complaining to them.
So education sometimes enough.
Yes.
Electric bikes. We have quite a problem in Southgate with they're not so young, they're sort of in their, I'd say 20s, early 20s, racing around on electric bikes, no crash helmet. They're racing along pathways, they're really dangerous, and people don't hear them coming, and there's a lot of elderly people in Southlake. You know, people have reported them. The police don't do anything because you don't know when they're coming, but every day I can guarantee there are at least 2 of these people on bikes, electric bikes, that are racing around doing 40 miles an hour. So I'd like to know what can be done about that.
So what we do with that, first of all, the council do not have the power to stop a moving vehicle. So again, that electric bike is classified as a moving vehicle. That power is only with the police. However, if that individual is known where they live, we go around and speak to them when they are parked. If I come to the park and I'm walking in the park, I see them parked on the bikes, I try to educate them, because that's all I can do as an antisocial behavior officer. I don't have the legal power to stop vehicles, which I think is the right thing, otherwise we'll be stopping vehicles on the street.
Someone's going to get killed when
And we heard about that one, and unfortunately, because I said to you, we are 2 officers per 3 areas that are divided, 3 areas divided for the whole borough. We go to Woodley, and then there's reports of noise somewhere and fly tip. Then we leave that, or Southlake, we leave that. We go to, but we do go to Southlake. There's also a report that came last week of people cycling on Southlake. I have yet to study that, because I want to find out if it is illegal for people to cycle in Southlake.
What around Southlake?
Yes.
There used to be notices saying no cycling, but they've been taken down, so I don't think you can actually enforce it now. Children do cycle.
Yeah, so I wasn't aware whether you can enforce it or not, because it's got to be something which is against the law. Otherwise, it can be something annoying, but if it's not against the law, then there's nothing that I can do about it. Sorry.
As Mayor referred to, we do have antisocial behaviour problems, particularly in the precinct. So I'd like to, and this is something that we've flagged up with the borough multiple times. So I'd like to know what actions the ASB team's been taking to deter cycling and scooters through the precinct, where there are lots of signs up, and it's clearly not permitted to cycle or e-scoot through the precinct.
It comes back to the same answer that I gave previously. We've heard about that. We've come around. I've seen young people cycling and racing on the electric scooters. When we had our tables in there exhibiting what we do. Luckily on that day, the police were around and they managed to speak to them. But when we went to speak to this individual before the police arrived, we just had some verbal abuse, and that's all we had to do, and we had to wait for the police. So we had to report it to the police ourselves. But what we do is, because we wear these uniforms to try to be visible, we come to Woodley and walk in there. our shifts pattern, they cover sometimes in the evening, and weekends we cover into very late hours of the day, and we come to Woodley. Woodley is one of our priorities due to those issues that has been reported to us.
So are you saying there's really nothing that can be done? We need the
There
police.
is, if as I said, we can only talk to them when they are identified.
When they're not, when they're
Yeah,
not.
if they are on the bike, even the police, I know the police, if they are on the bike and they're mobile, I know the police can't stop them. But when they stop, we try to get their addresses and we go around to them and speak to them.
Do you think we're making progress?
We, that individual that I spoke to in the town center, we later visited them at their house. And it's so difficult to know exactly where they live. And sometimes we get information about it and we go around and speak to them. But Woodley, what we've decided to do is to be there physically so that when they see us, yes, they'll give us verbal abuse to start with, but eventually they move out. And we've had issues where kids have come in and damaged flower pots. I think this happened last year. Again, that's criminal damage, and our policing partners, we engaged with them. I thought they would come today, and I think they did something about it. They also did a lot on South Lake on e-bikes. There was an operation the police did, and they issued lots of tickets there.
I just fear it's a matter of time till there is a serious accident. You know, I know lots of our older and less mobile citizens have been quite scared by bikes suddenly coming up behind them, or, you know, if they move to the side, as you do, going around, you know, in the way. So it's really something that we've got to.
I would say just keep reporting it to us, because we profile these things and we speak to our policing partners. If we need to ask for more resources from the police to help us, then we will do. But we can't do that without asking us to. So just keep reporting it to us, and do whatever we can to work together with the police to get this stuff.
Thank you.
Sorry, Darren was next, and then Councillor Nagra. and then-
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I had read that there was an active police project now starting, I think, imminently to address electric e-bike. So, you know, and I think, to be honest with you, you know, we could be talking, but we could be also talking to our PCSOs in Woodley to make sure that they're aware of what's going on, because we can then get the Turnbury Police to target these areas and to confiscate these bikes. That's the only real deterrent, to confiscate bikes. So I do understand that this new initiative by Thames Valley Police will confiscate bikes this time. So there's been a lot of education. I think the feeling is now it's confiscation. I think that's what they will be doing.
Councillor Nagra, you had your hand up.
You have mentioned about fly tipping, and you said that you prioritize areas and then you have CCTV where there is a fly tipping, there are more incidents. And you have also mentioned, you yourself mentioned Woodley Town Centre and many incidents. So is it not in your priority to have some sort of CCTV in Woodley Town Centre? Fly tipping is also a very serious issue, but for me, incidents in Woodley Town Centre are much more serious.
Yes, as I said, we have limited cameras. If I remember, we have 5, and the areas where we're getting fly tip is just getting a lot. And the cameras that we have are the ones that take stills. We used to have wildlife cameras, and for some reason, I think they've been identified and stolen, because we leave them out there in the bush area or in some areas. But because we have to put a sign CCTV, of course we don't put it under the camera itself. But when there's that sign, people know there is CCTV around. So I don't know, maybe from the town council side, if this is something that can be invested into CCTV in the town center, I don't know. It's something, but it's never been considered, and those cameras that we have are not suitable for that kind of because they use batteries. So what they do is they go on once they see a motion in front. And if there's lots of motion in Woodley, they only has to take experience because there will be lots of people moving about.
Thank you. Michael, I think you had your hand up. Did you? Oh, no, sorry, it was
Yes, so just, I want to ask was, some residents do complain that people actually park across the front of their drive, so they can't get in and out of their house, or, you know, can't get out, yes, that's actually not using their car. Is that antisocial behaviour at all?
It's not. Yes, so what happens is with parking in front of someone's drive, if there's that white line which has been put by the council, then yes, they can't park there. But if they don't have a garage at their house and just a driveway, people can park there. They can't block them in, they can block them out. If there's a car inside and they cannot park and block in that vehicle, because obviously if there's an emergency and things like that, or if there's no vehicle, people can park.
So even if there's no white line, if they're parked, the owner's parked on the drive, and then someone parks across the drive, then they have got a genuine complaint then?
They've got a genuine complaint. If they ring us, we try to go around there and ask the person to move their vehicle. Although it takes time because, as you know, the police have got the police national computer, which comes on their radios, but we don't. We have to physically send an email to DVLA to tell us details of that individual for us to then go around and look for them. Whereas our policing partner will have that with them on patrol, and they can go and ask the person to move the vehicle.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, mine's no questions, but it's a request. You've mentioned several times that, you know, things you've been doing in Woodley. As a borough councillor, I was unaware of that because that data is not reported to borough councillors. So the request is, could you, on a regular basis, just provide a summary of activities that the ASB unit have carried out in Woodley to the town clerk on a regular basis, and then the town clerk can bring it to the relevant committee, because you're operating in almost like a cloak of secrecy. Yeah. We know you're there, we think you're doing things, but we don't know because nobody tells us. So please, can you do that? Okay.
And how often do you want it?
6 months, 3 months,
Quarterly.
Okay. That can coincide with our.
We've got those figures, but I just didn't bring them today.
They're not just figures. Yeah. It's actual things without obviously giving names, etc. But we did a fly tip in X Road, or we were in the town council, a town centre for bicycles, or whatever.
Yeah, I think the assumption is some of the activities that we've done were quite visible, like the travelers. They came here, I think, 3-4 times. If I will provide us with.
Thank you very much. I think we could have spent the whole evening on this very interesting subject that affects us all. So thank you very much for coming. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
So the first item on the agenda then is apologies. Matthew, have we got any apologies for absence tonight?
Yes, we have apologies from councillors Bragg, Erawala, Hoskins and Lewis.
Thank you, those will be noted. Second item on the agenda is declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest from councillors regarding any items on tonight's agenda? Thank you very much. Item 3 is to receive the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 26th of September 2023. The minutes were included with this agenda and can be seen on page 5. Are there any questions or comments regarding these minutes? Carol?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to ask on page 9, item 51, I asked a question about the sound system. Some of us don't get heard because we haven't got loud voices. And I wondered what progress has been made, please.
Yeah, I can provide an update. I've been in contact with a couple of companies. One to do with the acoustics in this room, which is largely the problem because of the high hard floors, etc. About some improvements we can make to that, and the second one about the technology that we're using to try and improve that. So, and that will be reported back to Strategy and Resources that's one of the action items.
Because I can make online, you can't hear it all, and I don't think the acoustics would change that. I think you need to get a microphone system.
Yeah, it's one of the things we're looking at, but because any microphone that's not right in front of you does pick up that reverberation from around the room. So at the moment it's this bar here which picks up. It's the right size for the room, but because of the sound quality within the room, it's not suitable. So we're looking at that. It'll be a combination.
It's very difficult to hear you, Kevin, now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I just wanted to clarify. I think the issue is when we have this meeting, because we are broader, there's more people here, the space is bigger. I looked at the whole of the video of the Strategy Resources one where you were on virtually, and I could hear every single word. But that is not 25 people, it's 12 people, it's a much, so it works for that.
And there are microphones on the table for that.
Yes, and so it's this meeting that we really need to focus on.
Any other questions or comments? No, so if we are happy with these now, can we please move to a vote on accepting these minutes as a true and correct record? All those in favour, please raise their hands. All those against, please raise their hands. And all those who wish to abstain, please raise their hands. The minutes then have duly been approved as a true and correct record, and I will sign them after the meeting. Item 4. We now have a new item, actions and follow-ups, which most of you will now be familiar with following recent meetings of standing committees. Actions and follow-ups are provided on page 23 of the agenda. So I'll hand over to Matthew to run through this.
Explain briefly, most of you who've been in standing committee meetings know that we've introduced this now for standing committees. We're doing it as well for full council. Obviously, hopefully full council will have far fewer actions and follow-ups because most of those are taken by standing committees. I've gone back as far as this municipal year, so from May. So if there are any follow-ups or actions that were reported previously, they won't have been captured. Hopefully, if they do come up in the course of conversations, we'll then capture them. But that's just so you're aware, that's why some things that were maybe discussed last year haven't appeared on here. I won't go through all the completions. Hopefully, you will have seen them on there. Also, the only thing to note is item 46 which is about including reference to electronic copies of a notice of conclusion of audit. That can't take place until next year, so when it takes place next year, we'll note that as completed. And obviously on there also, we've got about review and improve the sound quality of the meeting recording under 51, and that's confirmed that action has transferred to Strategy and Resources because it's being picked up under there. Does anyone have any questions or anything that you think I haven't picked up on?
Item 5 is to note that Councillor Chen has stood down from the Planning and Community Committee. Whilst item B will be to note her replacement. So can I please ask the Conservative group to nominate Councillor Chen's replacement?
It's going to be me, basically, on the planning.
Thank you very much, Keith, and that will be noted. Item 6 is to receive the minutes of committee meetings which have taken place since our last full council meeting. I please ask Councillor Soane, as chairman of the committee, to present the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee.
Mr. President, to present the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee that was held on the 17th of October at 7:45, and they are
recorded on pages 25 to 32. Any more questions? Okay.
Assuming we are happy with these minutes are noted. Can I please ask Councillor Smith, as chairman of the committee, to present the minutes of the Leisure Services Committee meeting, which took place on the 7th of November.
Thank you, Chair. It gives me great pleasure to present the Leisure Services Committee meetings from the 7th of November, pages 33 through to 42. If any councillor has any questions. Thank you.
Assuming we're also happy with these minutes are noted. Can I please ask Councillor Stone again, as chairman of the committee, to present the minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting of the 14th of November?
Thank you very much. We're pleasure to present the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday, the 14th of November 2023, and the minutes are recorded on pages 43 to 51. If there are any questions.
Assuming we're happy with these minutes are noted. Can I please ask Councillor Baker, as chairman of the committee, to present the minutes of the Strategy and Resources Committee meeting on the 21st of November?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. They're on pages 53, the blue pages basically, to 74. There are 3 items that the Strategy and Resources Committee are bringing to the full council for approval. The first one is to do with updates to the standing orders, which is appendix 4.1. I don't know whether you want to take them piecemeal or.
In case there are any questions, which we do have. Councillor Taylor, you've got a question on the first recommendation.
Yeah. I just wanted to, this is the one about the definition of majority, and I know you refer to for, against, and abstentions, but elsewhere in the standing orders, we also refer to not voted, and I just wanted to ask a question: is not voted a subset of abstentions, or is it a fourth category? And depending on what the answer is, we might need to make a tweak.
Well, thank you. In fact, I think it would be presumptuous of any chairman of any committee to assume the wishes of an individual councillor who doesn't actually vote for the standard agree, disagree, or abstain. So from that perspective, it tends to be a fourth category. Now, what you've brought to us is that there's a conflict. It's not clear. And what I would suggest we do, going back and taking notes, that at the next meeting, the standing orders would review that inconsistency and bring it back to a future. First of all, standing orders committee to agree, and then back to the hearing and then the process.
Right, so just, sorry, just to clarify then, so if not vote is a fourth thing, I think if we're reconsidering it, that we need to define what that is.
Yes.
Because as far as I'm concerned, abstaining from not voting, so same again. So if we come in this category, we should define what it is. A bit weird. And then if it is a fourth category, we need to include it in this. And if it isn't, then let's whip it out completely, because I don't think it adds anything.
Yes, I think we need to clarify and define. Personally, I cannot understand any councillor not voting one way or another, but it happens, and it happens more often than you think. And I've never been able to get to the bottom of those individuals who just don't bother to put their hand up on any of the 3, and I don't understand why.
But why do we care? I mean, to me, it's not voted, they're abstaining.
It's to reflect what's actually happened in that vote to residents. Residents need to know that you physically made a decision to abstain or agree or disagree but they also should know that a councillor has decided not to vote. It's to provide transparency of what's actually gone on in the vote. It's a nonsense, I agree.
Well, I don't think it, I think it actually, we've made it more complicated than it needs to be. If you don't put your hand up, you abstain.
Well, I don't think you can have that presumption, but we'll take it to the next committee, all right?
And just on the other side, also, 16.2A, the amendment we put 18.1 hasn't been in there. So again, for tidiness, should that be included? It should, it should be consistent with those two. So
yes, absolutely. Consistency is something that we are striving for. With such a document, inevitably there will be inconsistencies. And what we strongly urge all councillors is when you discover something like that, there is a pro forma that Matthew put together. Please submit it there. You don't need to wait till a meeting like this.
to be fair, I know the long winter evenings are drawing in, but I don't suppose many of us sit around reading the standing. I was just prompted to read it by this. So anyway, we'll return to this to tidy it up.
Thank you.
Shall we go, we'll go through all three of the recommendations then and do.
Yes, so that's the standing orders one.
Yes, so.
Yeah, the individuals.
You'd rather vote for each recommendation? Okay.
So requesting a vote on the one, council adopts the updates to the standing orders.
So all those in favour then please raise their hands.
Sorry.
17-4.
All those against?
3 against the proposed changes.
Any abstentions?
None.
So that.
There's one no vote, which is often recorded. Often the chairman won't indicate a vote. That's normally, if you see a no vote, it's often the chair.
So Keith, carry on.
Yeah. And in fact, that's a very good example of a chairman. Actually, probably will have a few because the chairman may take you. The next one is financial regulations. If you suffer from insomnia, read this. But it's basic, most of it is changing references to the RFO, which is the Registered Financial Officer, to Finance Manager. That was something from a personnel perspective that was changed several meetings ago, wasn't it? So it's just bringing that up to date. And there are some other slight modifications, but I understand they're more driven by, those are driven by statutory obligations, isn't it?
Yes.
That had to be made. I think it's on page 92 at the top. Tendering. So, if you've got any questions on it, I intend to answer it. Otherwise, I'm going to refer it to Kevin.
No questions on Kevin. Can we, let's proceed to a vote on the second recommendation. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
24.
All those against, please raise their hands.
No one.
And any abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, 20. And then
21. The last one is on the back of the SNR minutes, which is the schedule of meetings. Page 74. I think there are self-corrected, there's nothing really major that's changed. So just a copy of every year's meetings. Thank you.
Any questions on that? Right, we'll proceed to a vote on the third recommendation. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
That's 20. You got a no vote?
All those against? And any abstentions? So that's the so that's all, thank you, Keith. Has any other questions regarding the minutes? So assuming we're happy with these, then these minutes are noted. Item 7 is for members to note the direct debit mandates set out in the agenda, which have been signed by the appropriate signatories. And does anyone have any questions regarding these? Next item on the agenda is to receive a statement from the leader of the council, Councillor Baker. Would you like to provide the statement?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, here we are at our very first Christmas meeting of the new town council. Every year I approach this first year with many new councillors with a little bit of trepidation, wondering how well we would all work together. More often than not, the majority of councillors leave their party hats at the doorstep and we work together for the benefit of our residents. When we do that, residents benefit. When we do not work together, it is the residents who suffer. Before I say any more, I want to talk about a huge number of what I call silent heroes in our community. As leader of Woodley Town Council, it never ceases to amaze me how much compassion, caring and goodwill there is in our community. When times are incredibly stressful and families struggle to cope, it is great to know that there are individuals and local organisations who will always go that extra yard to help them. Such volunteers do it with great caring, not looking for any thanks, which makes it even more remarkable. We also need to thank all the essential workers who will be giving up their Christmas to provide the services we all often take for granted. Together, they make Woodley an incredible community to live and work in. On behalf of Woodley Town Council and all councillors, I want to put on record our sincerest thanks to each and every one of them. Over the last year and before, there's been quite a lot of turmoil and stress for officers of this council. A lot of that was dealing with the legacy of totally inappropriate behaviour towards officers from a couple of councillors who are no longer here. They had to endure a degree of hostility during committee meetings from these councillors, questioning many things. Nothing wrong with asking questions, but the aggression was totally unwarranted. This had a direct impact on our then town clerk, which resulted in a long period of absence due to sickness. I would like to thank Kevin, as the then deputy town clerk, for stepping into that void, not only carrying out his deputy role, but taking on the work of the town clerk as well. He was ably assisted by Matthew, who always went that extra mile when needed. So I was really pleased that following an exhaustive evaluation by the Personnel Board, ably led by our Deputy Mayor Councillor Anderson, Kevin was promoted to the vacant town clerk position. Following that, a reorganisation of work on current roles resulted in Matthew becoming the deputy town clerk. I believe this town council is absolutely blessed with a great team of officers led by Kevin, to which I would like to say a heartfelt thank you. I believe we started well and have the makings of a good council team. I hope these foundations will grow over the next year so we can deliver even more for our residents. So it just remains me to say, I hope your celebrations over this Christmas period, whatever they may be, are successful and set you up for an exciting year. Thank you.
I say as chair and leader, I second Keith's comments, and my thanks also to Kevin and Matthew, who have held my hand throughout that period of great turmoil and continue to do so. So thank you both. Item 9 is simply an update for members to note regarding the Woodley Memorial Recreation Ground charity, for which the Council are corporate trustees. Usually, a short meeting of the council as corporate trustees is held in December to note the submission of the annual return of the charity. However, due to submission issues on the new IT platform, this was not possible. However, I've now been advised by officers that the submission was able to be processed on Friday. A meeting will therefore take place prior to the next meeting of full council in February, where this will be noted. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Item 10. This. The next item on the agenda is to consider a written motion submitted in accordance with Standing Order 16.3. This item will be managed in line with the debate process and flowchart set out in Standing Orders. There is also a total time limit of 30 minutes permitted for a motion to be moved, proposed and debated, including dealing with any amendment. So to clarify, it is now 9:23. We have received a notice of a motion from Councillor Jewell. The motion submitted is as follows. In recognition of the importance of community involvement in our climate emergency action plan, this council will set up a community climate emergency action planning event in spring 2024 in order to share ideas and develop practical actions within our community. So firstly, can I please ask Councillor Jewell if you confirm that you wish to propose this motion?
Proposed motion as set out on page 3 in the agenda.
Thank you. Can I please ask for a seconder for this motion? Councillor Rowland, thank you. So Councillor Jewell, as the mover of this motion, then can you please set out the motion? You have a maximum of 3 minutes.
A climate emergency was declared in October 2019, which received this council's full support. Since then, there have been sporadic climate emergency subcommittee meetings. Do you want me to go to the... Are you having trouble hearing me?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Just 3 or 4 over the last 4 years. If it wasn't for the commitment and dedication of the town council staff, very little would have been achieved. There's been publicity about the initiative on the council's website, and more recently there will be a piece in the Herald. However, that item talks about a subcommittee which is virtually non-existent. This motion is intended as a catalyst to become more proactive, or just proactive would be useful, and involving our community in reducing carbon footprints and providing more information about actions that can be taken. For example, signing up to the Planet Pledge on the Wokingham Borough's website, something all councillors should think about doing. There's no shortage of local expertise. The University of Reading have a world-renowned climate research division. Woking Borough have an active climate emergency programme. What we need is a vehicle in which the available information can be disseminated to Woodley residents. A town council event, as outlined in the motion, would achieve this. This council recently unanimously agreed to my motion about supporting environmental actions. We now need to put that commitment into action. I commend this motion to you.
Thank you, Councillor Jewell. Firstly, can I please ask if any councillor present is against the motion as it currently stands, as if all are in support, we can proceed straight to the vote. If there are any councillors against the motion as it currently stands, please raise your hands now. Thank you. Councillor Rowland, as seconder for this motion, can you please confirm if you wish to speak on this matter now, or whether you wish to reserve the right to speak in support of this motion at the end of the debate?
I'd like to reserve my right, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I now please ask if anyone wishes to propose an amendment to the submitted motion? As a reminder, amendments must be submitted to the town clerk in writing prior to the commencement of the debate. Thank you, Councillor Bacon.
Yes, I would like to propose an amendment which has been circulated to all councillors, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. In that case, sorry, does somebody put that? You confirmed that you've received this?
I can confirm, yes, and it has been circulated.
Has
Councillors
everybody had a
present
chance to see it?
and councillors not present.
Yeah. Thank you. So in that case, then we move to, oh, second.
Can I second that, please?
Second.
The amendment.
The amendment, okay, Councillor Jordan. Councillor Jordan, to.
It's a point of order, it's a question.
A point of order then, okay.
Chair, can I ask the town clerk, please, to clarify whether or not the amendment as it stands actually negates the original motion, in which case it cannot be allowed. And as the second half of that amendment doesn't relate well, in fact, it seems to be totally different to the original motion. I wonder therefore if that is acceptable as an amendment.
Yeah, I don't consider that it negates the original motion in so much as it supports the principles of it. I think in terms of how it would work and the principles behind it, but provides perhaps a framework for how it might be delivered. And sorry, there was a second.
The second one was about the second part of the motion, which isn't a change, it's an addition, and whether or not as an addition and so vaguely connected to the motion, I wonder whether that's admissible as well.
Yes, again, as an addition that's in keeping with the principle of the original motion.
Okay. Can I please ask for a seconder for the amendment, please? Thank you. Councillor Anderson, thank you. So, sorry. Okay. Councillor Baker, as the proposer, you may now speak on this amendment. You have a maximum of 3 minutes, and in line with standing orders, you will not have a right to reply at the end of the debate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Fellow Town Councillors, I move this amendment not because my group does not support this motion, but we believe it's not specific enough and possibly impractical in the time mentioned. It is important to engage residents in this important matter. However, to set up such a planning event in the short term time between now and spring next year will take a lot of officer time, especially when they are already stretched working on the time-consuming budget setting process. Such an event has to be set up properly in order to maximise the impact of that event on the Town Council's plan. Therefore, an alternative option for achieving this objective has been looked at. The most time-efficient and effective method of doing this is to try and piggyback on something that already exists. The annual meeting in May 2024 is a meeting that is already tailored towards the residents of Woodley. It also has a subcommittee set up to consider the theme, structure of the meeting, and opportunity for residents to engage with the Town Council. So to ask this subcommittee to add this requirement to their work is an obvious solution to the timing issue. But we should not stop there. There is a yearly competition called the Earthshot, which is run on a worldwide basis, looking for inspirational people or solutions to address the climate emergency. Clearly, the Town Council cannot emulate this worldwide competition, but we could put on something that is significantly smaller, but based on the same concept or principle. In order to evolve this idea into an actual competition, it needs the involvement of the Strategy and Resources Committee. Might not be possible, but it's well worth investigating. So I hope that all councillors will support this amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Anderson, can you please confirm if you wish to reserve the right to speak in support of the amendment until later in the debate?
No, I'll speak now, if that's okay.
If you wish to support this amendment now, you have a maximum of 3 minutes.
Lovely, thank you. So I don't have any notes for this because I don't believe I need them. This is something that I'm absolutely passionate about, Carol, and I would absolutely support that we need to do something about this. When I started getting involved in the town meetings a couple of years ago, we had a theme. The very first year we themed it, which was the first year that I was involved, and that looked at some of the people in Woodley that were helping other people in Woodley get through the pandemic, and how we as a community could come together and start that really big community conversation. And I think this is a really natural follow-on for that, and something that we were planning to do last year, but with the disruption to the officers, we just didn't have the capacity or the time to do it. So it was always in my mind that we really should focus on climate emergency this year. Now, I'm not the only one on the subcommittee, there are other people, so it's not just my say-so, but I feel very strongly that we do need to do this. It seems a perfect vehicle to absolutely do what you want and what we all want, which is engage our community in this. We are stronger together. And I completely agree with the Earthshots. For those of you that don't know about the Earthshots, the Earthshot Prize is a huge fund that has been put up. I'm not suggesting we do that. It finds and grows solutions that will repair our planet. It's been going for 3 years. They've had 45 finalists and 15 winners getting a huge amount of money. And by 2030, they aim to achieve their 5 Earthshots. And I just want to remind you of the 5 Earthshots. Protect and restore nature, clean our air, revive our oceans, a bit tricky in Woodley, but we can have a go, build a waste-free world and fix our climate. Now, I would suggest that people in Woodley have a view on some of those things. I certainly have a view on things that we can do. Doesn't always cost a huge amount of money. What it costs is a bit of collaboration and a bit of coming together. We've demonstrated before that Woodley is a fantastic place for community and coming together to solve problems and come up with solutions. So I think building on your brilliant amendment, Carol, I think we need to do this in a way that allows people of Woodley to feel engaged and to feel like there is a bit of va-va-voom around this. You know, let's get some energy around this. Yes, let's do the town meeting, but often there aren't a huge number of people there, but we could do this. We've got Anushka, we've got some fantastic opportunities for press from all of us. This is not a party thing, this is a people population thing. So let's absolutely do this together and let's use that town meeting as a catalyst. Thank you.
So I now invite any councillors who wish to speak on this amendment to speak. Councillors are only permitted to speak once on this particular amendment, unless to make a point of order or personal explanation. Also, the mover of the original motion, Councillor Jewell, may not speak during the debate, but does have the right to reply at the end of the debate. Each councillor has a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. So all those councillors that do wish to speak on this, if you put your hands up, I will take your names and then try to get to you in the right order.
So could you confirm what you just said, that I've got no right to take part in debate on a motion that's not mine?
There's a standing order 17.
You do the summing up.
Steve will explain that.
So as the mover of the amendment, that is my speech. I'm not allowed to do the wrapping up afterwards. You are. So that is your
amendment.
Yes, that's the way it works. It's exactly the same as your
strange, but I accept that, thank you.
Right, should I see you put their hands up? Would you all like to put your hands up, those who wish to speak? Yes. So just 2 now. I saw more hands than that go up just now. No, we're down to 2. So, Councillor Chadwick, then you were first to put your hand up. Yes.
I don't know whether this is appropriate to think about right now. I support the amendment suggested by Councillor Baker. I was just thinking for the task and finish group for the town forum meeting, Would it be possible to have someone along to the meeting who could give advice to residents about things like renewable energy solutions for home heating and insulation and this sort of thing? Because that would be really useful.
Yeah, like the first motion.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Great idea.
That's what I'd say.
Councillor Taylor.
I'm completely in agreement with the sentiment behind both the original and the amendment. What I'm exercised about is not the sentiment, but the execution. And I certainly think it makes sense to use the vehicle of the annual town meeting and kind of theme it around our commitments under item 14 on our action plan for climate, which is all about community involvement. But I am personally quite excited by the fact that the annual town meeting subcommittee, I don't think has met, or if it has, I've not seen any output from it. And personally, if I was organising something like this myself, I would be starting organising it before now. We haven't got long to go till, we've got to have this done by June. And I think, we need a bit of thought. So what I would like to see in the event is to straighten it up. So rather than talk about evaluating a concept, I think we need to say we want that subcommittee to theme it around this activity and perhaps specify what we want to see, which is basically, I think, in accordance with action item 14, a report on what we've already done, which, as Carol has mentioned, is in fact mostly been done by our officers. But then we need to solicit views from people about what they would like to see going forward. And I think that's where we need the support of and help of Aluska, how we frame that to make that compelling and kind of interesting reason for people to come out to the annual town meeting as opposed to the 20 minutes that we spent last time. And again, as Julia was saying, you need to inject a bit of our ideas. And that's almost like the technical execution side of it. So I was just, I don't know what the mechanism of this is to amend an amendment, but I would just like, but I think what I'm interested in is getting stuff done rather than labouring through a rather arcane process. And I find that actually, kind of known, but quite a lot of our motions are very woolly, and I think they should be more active and direct. So I would like to see that there. In terms of the idea of woolly earthshot competition, kind of that's an interesting idea and something that we could take to the town meeting to put that forward as an idea. But what we don't want to do is commit ourselves to things before we've actually asked people what they would like us to do. I think that's the kind of suggestion that goes in. So personally, I think that's kind of a bit redundant in this motion. That's something that should be considered by the annual town meeting. And I would urge that happens sooner rather than later if we're going to A, put on a decent show, and B, give officers plenty of time to support this. It would be absolutely impossible, I think, to come to the conclusion after, in March, after we've all had a woolly thought about it, then to turn around and say, right, we want to do this in June. It's not enough time.
Councillor Rowland, do you now wish to speak in support of this amendment? You have a maximum of 3 minutes also. Right, 1 second. Councillor Jewell? Yes. Councillor Jewell, do you wish to exercise your right of reply? If you do, I remind you that you have a maximum of 3 minutes.
Chairman. So I'm replying to the amendment.
Yes.
Right, okay, that's better. I feel as if I'm on the road to Damascus with 20 other people on it at the same time. It's getting rather crowded. And having done very, very little, almost nothing, for the last, since October 2019. All of a sudden, everybody wants to do something. Now, that's great, and it would be churlish of me to say, no, there was amendment, because I'd be cutting off my nose to spite my face. As you all know, I'm very, very keen on getting something done about the climate emergency. We do need to get something going now. There was a concern about the timing issue. I said spring, the town electors is the 23rd of May. To me, that's almost spring or at the end of spring. So I think that isn't an issue in terms of time. And what I was proposing was a very simple meeting, I don't know, something that allows people, the residents, to see what is going on. The Earthshot idea is just out of this world, I would suggest. It's just way beyond town council. It needs much more thought. It's been thrown in for the next, without any concept at all. So if I was able to, I would like to propose that that second part of the amendment is deleted, because I think it isn't worth a discussion at any time in the near future. We've got to get our ducks in a line first for now and get things going. Whether or not Keith, as the proposer of that amendment, would accept that deletion, I will ask that.
Unfortunately, the standing orders won't allow that to happen. We have to vote on this amendment, right? And if this amendment is passed, then you can make that amendment afterwards. You can only deal with one amendment. If you look at the standing orders, and it's exactly the same standing orders as in Borough Council, and you've got plenty of Borough Councillors here. It's the same concept, is you have to deal with an amendment in its totality. So if this is voted through, I would give you an indication that if you then made that amendment to remove that, I would not oppose it. But you can't do it yet because the process, the standing orders do not allow you to do that.
Can I ask a question?
Can ask for a point of order or a personal explanation, but no other speeches.
Is that what you should say, point of order or personal
I
explanation?
don't know, I wanted to just ask to get clarification of what Keith just said, because earlier on you said in order to raise an amendment, you had to have circulated before the meeting, which was just achieved, wasn't it, with this rush round? So now we can amend an amendment, but we don't need to have to pre-circulate it. Is that what the standing orders say? No.
Actually, it says you do have to circulate it, so it would have to be written down, provided to me. I would need to circulate it to all members here and not here.
But that's prior to the debate, not prior to the meeting. And the debate from the way in further debate is that at the point that people are asked to make their speeches is the formal debate element, so the preambles. So if after this if this was to be approved and go through, there will be then an opportunity, and the chairman will give that opportunity for people to then, if they wish to make another amendment, to do so, at which point they would have to put that in writing to Kevin, and Kevin would then need to circulate it to everyone. That's the process in the standing orders.
And it's called.
Keith just wants to clarify.
Well, no, I'm just going to try and make a way forward. All right, we've all got this. The particular thing you're talking about is there, right? It's the last sentence. Pick up a pen, scribble it out. There's your submission. We've all got it, and I think that would be a way forward. We could do that in a matter of a couple of minutes.
To move on, we first of all need to vote on the amendment of Councillor Baker's amendment. All those in favour of the amendment, please raise your hand.
18 in favour of the amendment?
All those against the amendment?
None.
All those who wish to abstain?
That's 2 abstentions and yourselves. No, that's fine.
So the amendment is approved. So we now is cool.
Read the amended motion. That's now voting on that.
Substantive.
Copy of the motion from Kevin. And just read. So that's the substantive motion. That is now the
This is the
substantive.
new substantial motion with the amendment.
I follow that process.
Let me finish this then, Carol. The amendment to motion 73, and then I'll read out the whole amendment motion wording in full. In recognition of the importance of community involvement in our climate emergency action plan, this council will ask the annual town subcommittee to evaluate the concept of taking advantage of the annual meeting in order to share ideas for developing additional practical actions within our community for this action plan. In addition, this council requests the Strategy and Resources Committee to investigate the possibility of creating a Woodley Earth Shop competition. So that's what we voted for as we stand. So.
Can I just say that last bit actually just says to investigate the possibility. You know, at that point, we just don't do it. If people don't want to do it, it's only to investigate the possibility. Sorry.
So we've just read out the new substantive motion. Councillor Baker, as the mover of the new substantive motion, you further have the right to speak on this. If you wish to do so, you have a maximum of 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to clarify, to pick up Juliet's point, this is the Woodley Earth Shop competition is to investigate. It's not saying we're doing it in May. It's not saying we will do it. To look into it, because it's an interesting one. You yourself, as Councillor Taylor said, it was an interesting idea. The result of that could be it might not be possible, as I said in my speech. So, you know, this is not committing anything other than look at it, and if the strategy resources develop a process or a competition like that, it obviously will come back through the SMR to here to look at it when that is done. Thank you.
I just remind you, we have 3 minutes left of the 30 minutes as we originally started. Can I please ask if any councillor present is against the motion as it currently stands? As if all are in support, we can proceed straight to the vote. Are there any councillors against the motion, this new one that we've just voted in, as it currently stands? Please raise your hands now.
That doesn't make sense, does it? We
voted
on the basis that we were going to look at an amendment, and now you've said, are any of us against it? But we voted.
What we've done, we've gone back to the beginning again. We haven't the motion.
But that doesn't make sense, does it? That doesn't make sense.
Carol made her original then. We've changed it slightly. We now have a brand new one. So we're now back to where we were 30 minutes ago. Unfortunately, how much more time have we got?
Point of order.
Can Councillor, I'm not sure who can speak when.
Chair, but I suggest we get Councillor Nagra and then crack on.
Right, Councillor Nagra, then we must get moving because time's running out.
If I understand correctly, this is second amendment of original motion, am I right?
This is the substantive motion, which is the same that Councillor Baker submitted and that Councillor Sotaro just read out. So it's the full wording that was circulated.
Yeah. Councillor Baker presenting a motion, then Councillor Baker presenting amendment, and then this is second amendment, this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
According to standing orders, any councillor is allowed to present twice two-time amendment in one motion.
Can you clarify, please?
Councillor Karen presented a motion. Then Councillor Baker, he moved an amendment, this one, that was approved. Now there is another amendment in which this last is not.
The standing order sets out that a motion is set and then that is under consideration. If an amendment is proposed, that is then considered. If that is approved, that then becomes the substantive motion and the process starts again with the substantive motion. That's as it's set out in the standing orders.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So we're starting the
asking.
process.
Is this a amendment or an entirely new motion? That's what I'm asking.
The substantive motion is the one that was circulated, which is what Councillor Sottle read out.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the Carol's motion.
No.
It's a new Carol's with an amendment. And
is it amendment or new motion?
It's a new substantive motion. So we're starting again. Carol?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. I spoke about the necessity or non-necessity for that second paragraph. You said that we had to have the vote, and then I proposed an amendment to delete that, which is amenable to. So that's what I'd like to do. But meanwhile, I think something we probably could all accept is in the second line, it says the annual town subcommittee. We don't have one, we have an annual town electors subcommittee, and I think that ought to be clarified.
It's annual town meeting, so that it's called the annual town meeting subcommittee.
Is it the 7th of May one or the town electors?
So if the town electors was renamed the town meeting, the annual town meeting 3 years ago, so it's the annual town meeting, but it used to be known as the town electors. It is that meeting.
So what's happening on the 7th of May then? Sorry,
The annual meeting of the council. That's the annual meeting. That's the annual meeting of the council, which is different to the annual town meeting, which is
the 23rd.
I'll change that in the plan then.
Unfortunately, the 30 minutes has now passed, so we now need to move to a vote on the substantive motion. So can we ask all those in favour to raise their hands? This is the motion, which is the amendment motion.
We've run out the 30 minutes. Is this the last?
Yes.
Very good.
So we are voting for the substantive motion. And would you like me to read out the amended motion wording?
No, you've already won it. I'll do it again.
So that's what we're voting for. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Climate emergency becomes an emergency. Thank you, Lord.
That's 18-4.
Those against, please raise your hands.
None against.
All those who wish to abstain, please raise your hands.
Abstentions. In 5 minutes, if you would.
We've got 5 minutes before we have to ask for extra time. Item 10A is to note that Councillor Cheng has resigned as the Town Council representative to the Poor Lambs Charity, and for the Council to consider appointing a replacement. Do we have any nominations for councillors to take up this position?
Councillor Robert Thorstins.
No.
No? I thought we was. Sorry? I thought we did.
That's Windsor Woodford.
Oh, Borland, sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Sure.
Raise my hand.
So, no, we have nothing at this moment. To note that Councillor Soane has resigned as the Town Council representative to the Friends of Woodford Park Group, and for the Council to consider appointing a replacement. Prior to the meeting, Councillor Hawkins has indicated he would like to take up this position. Can we ask if we have any other nominations for councillors to take up this position? No, so we can proceed to a vote to allow. Just to be noted. Yep, all happy with that? 2 minutes. Item 10C is to receive the written report set out in Appendix 11, the enclosure provided with the agenda. Do we have any additional verbal reports from Town Council representative on outside bodies? Councillor Kennedy.
Very quickly, Madam Mayor, the meeting of the Woking Borough Parish Liaison Forum to the Town Council's appointed representative takes place tomorrow. If any member has any matter they would like me to raise under the open forum, I suggest in view of the time they send me an email and I will try and raise it tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Item 12 of the agenda is an update on the Mayor and Deputy Mayor's engagement since our last meeting. The events which have taken place are set out in Appendix 12 on page 93 of the agenda. Item 12 is future agenda items. Does anybody have any items they wish to be included in a future agenda? Councillor Jones.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Chairman. In view of the renewed enthusiasm everybody seems to have got for times of emergency, I wonder if there could be an agenda item on the appropriate committee and this is one of the SNR, so that something is discussed every month. In the absence of having a subcommittee that had been set up, we've been doing this job for the last 4 years. So I think that could be put on the appropriate agenda.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. It's already been regular, Councillor Jewell, it's already been a regular agenda item in statutory resources, and it came in force when the subcommittee was disbanded and the higher priority was put into SNR. So it's been there for probably the last 3 meetings.
So could we get a correction put in the next Herald then? Because that's claiming that there is a subcommittee for climate emergency services.
Item 13 is publicity and website. Does anybody have any items they wish to be publicised? So at 21:59, I call this meeting to a close. Thank you everyone for attending. And may I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank